Everybody, welcome to the Sports Hounds. Here we go, talking Phillies, live reactive Phillies Braves. Got to talk about this putrid sweep, talk about deadline, talk about some NFL training camp. Here we go.
Let's go! This ain't the fuck night! Oh, this game he stinks!
Oh shit!
It's gone!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Sports Hounds, brought to you exclusively by A2D Radio, and we are sponsored by Public Araya Adjusting. Do you have damage to your home or property? We may be able to help. Don't fight your homeowner's insurance alone. Contact Araya Public Adjusting at 813-564-3364. We have a lot to talk about tonight. But first things first, if you are in Atlantic County right near the beach, this thunder is insanity right now. So just stay safe if you're on the roads. And if your power goes out, power to you. Good luck, especially in the
That's
heat.
us too, Jim.
Yeah. So if Evan and I just go blank and Brad, if we go blank and this is only up to Rob, good luck, Rob.
Yeah.
This
I'm
weather
right
is
up
insanity
the street from you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Everyone's running to their computers right now to yell at me about my Nick Castellanos Jim Salisbury take. So it'll be easy to fill time. Trust me, especially tonight. Gift from the gods. This baseball team is.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it when there's controversy. It makes it so much easier to do what we do.
Yep.
It's all rainbows and blowjobs. It's no fun.
Yeah.
It's just
No,
a big circle
I
jerk.
hear you. I hear you. I mean,
like the Yankees.
coming out of the trade or coming out of the All-Star game weekend, the Phillies.
Did we go? Did we lose him already? Oh shit! I think he was going there with. Did I lose everybody?
I'm still here. You didn't lose me.
So I guess the weather affecting the boys down in Atlantic County. Like, obviously be safe, and if something goes down, call our friends at Aria Public Adjusting, 813-564-3364. Give a special shout out to our boy Johnny Coyle down on the Ocean City Boardwalk, all campus between 10th and 11th Street. Proud host of the Ramp Booth. You get 20% off along with gambling picks, merchandise, and special shout outs if you're an A2D member. Yeah, Rainbows and Blipovia likes that. I'd still have from Tom Arnone a couple years back, so I can't take credit for that. I did steal that from Tommy there, and he's in the chat. But yeah, give a shout out to our boy down at All Campus. Also, Manscaped. You use our code, you can get all trimmed up. Still plenty of summer left, so give Manscaped, use our promo code, get free shipping. But I think where Jimmy was trying to go before, unfortunately, the weather and extenuating circumstances blocked them out, was the Phillies, Brad. Just a putrid start to the second half. And I'm going to use that word a lot, putrid.
I'll tell you what, Rob, what they just did just now, they had the bases loaded and 2 outs, and they threw a wild pitch. So the Braves now have a 3-0 lead.
Okay, so you're a little in front with your highfalutin DirecTV. We got NBC Sports Philly. I think it's only 2-0. No, it's 3-0. I guess I looked down. But, I mean, it's imperative that you take 2 or 3. I mean, you can't get swept by the Cubs. I mean, that's awful. But,
listen, every once in a while, that kind of stuff does happen, I mean, the Yankees lost 2 out of 3 to the Reds. I mean, as I said, sometimes it happens. Sometimes you get a team that's just doing everything right for a few days, and sometimes and you happen to be the one and you do everything wrong. It happens sometimes. Not very often.
But, Brad, now you're boxed into winning this series against a really good baseball team in Atlanta. I mean, we were talking about a pre-show before the boys lost there.
That's a problem. That's a problem, yes.
And, it's not gonna happen. They're not taking 2 or 3 in this series. You got Suarez on the hill, who's okay, but you're already in a 3-0 hole. This is the most unentertaining baseball team in the MLB right now. They game after game, with Alec Boehm and Rhys Hoskins being exceptions right now, they just put together awful awful at bats. And Nick Castellanos is at the head of that line.
He's been struggling, and he's been a problem. And his little outburst the other day doesn't help, regardless of whether it was a stupid question or not. You know, I do have to say something about the Philadelphia media, Rob. Okay, they're that kind of a question to me is really you're baiting the guy to get into a fight.
What he was doing, Brad, was he was setting up. He was trying to ask a two-part question when he should have just come out swinging and asked a direct, tough question right out of the chute. So did you hear him booing? And all Nick Castellanos had to say is yes or no. You should never ask a yes or no question if you're a member of the media. Stupid. You're going to get one word and you're not going to get anything. If I were Jim Salisbury and I wanted to ask that question, I would have said, have you ever been booed before? Do you think the boos were warranted? Like, do you have any ill will towards the Philadelphia fans for booing you? Like, what's going on, Nick? It's been 4 months and, you still stink. I put his stats on Facebook. I mean, the only stat he's somewhat respectable in is RBI, and he's 46 out of like 153 qualified hitters. His OPS is under 700. His on-base percentage is under 300, which is god-awful.
Yeah, I saw that.
His statistics warrant a demotion. I know that can't happen, and it's not going to happen because of his years served and his contract, but he's been bad. If the Phillies had the Nick Castellanos that was sniffing the back of his baseball cards right now, this is a whole different outlook on this team, especially with the injuries. So is Jim Salisbury, and plus Jim Salisbury, I don't think Jim Salisbury is a crumb at all. Jim Salisbury's been following and covering the team for a lot of years, and he does a great job at bringing the fans unbiased facts and statistics. Now, he stepped out of his lane a little bit, and he tried to get whatever he was trying to accomplish with that line of questioning. There we go. He's back.
There's one.
Good to have you back.
There's one. Jeez, it must really be bad down there.
We were
just talking about Nick Castellanos. So if I'm Jim Salisbury, I'm not asking a two-part question, right? I'm just coming out like, Nick, you got booed. How do you feel about that? Nick, did you think that the fans were being unfair and booing you? Why do you freaking stink? The team needs you to be good.
Well, they're not going to. He's not going to say that. But what he should have just asked was, are these boos affecting you right now?
And like we see it all the time with these guys. Like for Nick, these guys that get paid, and money changes you. Some people it changes positively. Some people it changes negatively. But either way, it changes you. So whether I don't think it's a lack of effort, Nick Castellanos. I don't think he's quitting because he got paid. But maybe instead of spending that extra time in the batting cage, he's going home to Ben Simmons' house and just chilling. And like that's the difference at this level.
There we go.
Like,
full house.
Yeah, we got a full house back. We're just getting
I'm
into
alive.
Nick Castellanos. We were trying to wait for you guys to get into the trade deadline stuff. We were getting into Nick Castellanos. And Jimmy, I don't know if you heard, but like I guess I'm team Jim Salisbury here, which doesn't please a lot of people. I don't like the way he asked the question, but the direction of the questioning and the narrative of the questioning, I have no problem with. He asked a yes or no question at a press conference that it doesn't accomplish anything, ever. And Nick Castellanos stinks. On top of the stats that I just laid out, which are awful, he's not giving you anything in right field, and he's not giving you anything from an athleticism standpoint on the base paths. He's a total detriment to this team.
Nothing clutch. I mean, I haven't seen a guy who's struggled so much coming in as a free agent in this city that I haven't seen a guy get defended the way that this guy gets defended. But like it's been a hall pass all year for Nick Castellanos, and I'm not really understanding it because he hasn't had a big moment on this team yet. And Kyle Schwarber's had play. Yeah. I mean, he just got a hit. Hopefully, we can start a little rally going down 3-0 because Rangers.
If he has a good July, August, and September, all this gets forgotten, gets swept under the rug.
Absolutely, and he's free. He's free to prove me wrong.
And he should know better than that. That's how it is, especially on the East Coast. Our region between Philly, Boston, and New York. Our whole region. We're tough fans, and the media is pretty tough too. And if you're a high paid player and you're not succeeding, you're going to get asked a lot of questions that may make you uncomfortable.
I mean, look at Voracek a couple years ago when Voracek went off on that one Flyers beat writer at the press conference. Like it happens every single season with every single sport with these high paid players that are supposed to be so-called leaders on the team. As Bohm hits one into the gap,
he's a player, man. He's a keeper.
But we see it every season where these high paid players that either A, come in through free agency, B, come in through a trade, or C, gets drafted, and they don't perform well. It seems like 9 times out of 10 when they get asked tough questions at the podium, it seems like it's just woe is me to the world. Like you're not making millions upon millions of dollars to play the sport you love. But like why can't some of these guys just say I know it's so cliche, but just say the right thing. Just say the right thing. Work it off.
Giancarlo Stanton, for example.
Yeah.
When he got traded to the Yankees, okay, he got off to a horrendous start, and the Yankee fans were booing the crap out of him. You know what? When he got asked if the boos are starting to bother him, he said, "I'd be booing myself too." So after that, the booing kind of calmed down a little bit, and when he started hitting home runs, everybody shut the hell up already.
And then look at just this season. Like look at Alec Bohm, made 2-3 errors in an inning, said he hated it here, got asked about it. In the press conference, just said, "Yeah, I kind of stink right now," and he's rebounded. Now, no one remembers that now because he's mashing the baseball. He just smoked the double. They got second and third here with 1 out, with Sebastian Munoz up, and in Sebastian Munoz form, he strikes out on a curveball nowhere near the zone. But that's what happens when you have Sebastian Munoz in your lineup.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough, but. We just to get to the poll, and the poll will piggyback off of the Castellanos stuff. Castellanos versus Jim Salisbury, round 1, round 2, whatever it is. Poll of the day brought to you by EXP Realty. Looking to buy or sell a home, looking for a change in career or brokerage, contact Alan Foy of EXP Realty LLC at 302-682-8820 or visit him at alan.foy@exprealty.com. Also, don't forget about Manscaped. If using our code A2D at manscaped.com, get 20% off plus free shipping when you use that code A2D. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. So make sure we check them out. Also, All Campus, Ryan Swope, I will be at All Campus on Wednesday again for the rant booth with John Coyle. So make sure we check out All Campus, Ocean City, New Jersey. This time of year, it's beautiful. A lot of people, but it's still beautiful. It's a great scene out on that boardwalk, out in the ocean. So make sure you check out All Campus, giving away 20% off everything in the store, including hats and shirts to all of our subscribers. As Bryson Stott seems to have done something. Hulu has the late live sports, so I don't know. But yeah, poll of the day.
I look like Bill Buckner.
Yeah. Goofy hop. I mean, that's probably the goofiest double I've ever seen in my life.
Guy, Matt Olson.
Poll of the day.
He played the ball and he turned it into 2 runs.
Honestly,
why didn't he just catch it?
I still haven't seen it because Hulu has live sports.
Hell?
Unless it bounce in front of the plate. Did
There
it
it
bounce and then go that high?
He should have.
Why didn't he just catch it? I don't
what a
understand why he
knuckleball.
didn't catch it.
He knows.
Yeah,
Look at his face.
little knuckleball double.
It looked like he was waiting for it.
That ball had some kind of spin on it, though. My God.
I mean, that's what this team needs.
That might be the lucky bounce that turns around our season.
Get it going a little bit. Castellanos got a hit, and then he scores, and then you get a goofy double, and then now it's 3-2 in the second, and you got life. But anyway, the poll: should the Phillies be buyers or sellers? Agree or disagree?
I think it's honestly going to come down to this series. You got to win this series. If you get swept again this series, I think it's time to just move on. I mean, you come out of the All-Star break with momentum. You just swept the Marlins, who've been your kryptonite for years and years and years. So you go into the All-Star break, you sweep them, and it looks like all's going well. You get to play the Cubs at home coming out of the All-Star break, and you just it's a disaster. That second game was absolutely just a shit show. Like that type of defense, that type of pitching in the ghost runner extra inning, and I know it's a ghost running extra inning, but Jose Alvarado with a man on second, no outs, it's just a disaster. And it ends up being turned into 5 runs. Are you kidding? Like that's the type of shit that has lost us long leads in the NL East over the past 4 years. That's the type of shit that's happened. So I think it's got to come down to this series. You got to beat the Braves this series. You got to take 2 out of 3. And if you take 2 out of 3, you're still probably going to be 1 game out. Maybe you might even have another wild card, the last wild card spot. Who knows? But with all these injuries and the lack of inconsistency with the pitching over the past few weeks, it's going to come down to this series. I'm going to say I agree. You got to buy. And then when it comes to selling, I mean, who are you selling? You selling Rhys Hoskins?
What are you going to sell? That's my question. Anyone who wants to sell, like, what are you selling? Who are you selling? Castellanos, Schwarber, Harper are here. I mean, Gene's hurt.
Money. They're not. The Phillies may be in a position where where they can just make a baseball trade. You know, there is such a thing as a pure baseball trade, and
I would consider that buying. No,
huh?
If you make a baseball trade, that's buying.
Yeah, but if you're giving up a major league player for another major league player to try to fill a need for them, and the other team is filling a need also. You know, if you're trading major leaguers and not trading major leaguers for minor leaguers, I don't necessarily consider that selling or buying. I'm considering that trying to improve your team.
I mean,
but I'll give you an example. Let's say the Phillies decide to, and this is just an example. Okay, it's not going to happen. But let's say they wanted to trade not Castellanos, but say they wanted to trade Hoskins for Luis Castillo. Okay, that's a baseball trade. That's the kind of trade I'm talking about. I'm not talking about for somebody's top minor leaguers and all this other crap. That's buying or selling. I'm talking about a pure baseball trade.
Mm-hmm. But you can shed money. Like you can shed not Stott. Didi is an expiring contract, and Segura is an expiring contract. There's some questions in the poll from Amanda Stevenson about the Phillies' injuries right now. Bryce had a doctor's appointment today, and they didn't see enough healing to take the pins out. So that's not good. He's going to be reevaluated next Monday. Gene Segura is ready to go on rehab. They showed a highlight package on the game today. He was fielding and doing relay throws and baseball activities of that nature. So the Segura is going to be back before Bryce. I still think September 1st is a good target date for Bryce, and I think maybe mid-August might be a good target date for Gene. But I mean, and like you need both those guys to make a run, and you need to add. Like to anyone who wants to sell, like what are you selling? Like I read an MLB rumor today that they've checked in with Boston about Alexander Bogaerts. Like that's buying for sure, but
I think you're gonna have to sell if you want to buy though. If you're gonna get a guy of Xander Bogaerts' caliber, and the Red Sox are just like
terrible,
free falling right now. So they very well may.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
So so if you want Bogaerts, you're going to have to give up stock. So I think that's kind of what the poll was talking about. Buyers and sellers.
Is anyone in this group or anyone on this panel or anyone in this group sold on 1,000% on Bryson Stott as an everyday shortstop or second baseman in the Major League Baseball?
Okay, let's get something straight. If you're gonna get Bogaerts, you have to re-sign him.
Yeah, I was just about.
You can't just go out and get him and trade one of your top prospects. For half the season. That's
for Reynolds,
It would have to be a Painter and Stott for a Bogart, or a Painter and Stott and 2 other prospects.
I'm doing that all day.
But you got to sign it.
But I'm also saying if you're going to do that, then you need to ask the Red Sox to give you 72 hours to try to come up with a contract for him.
Well, he's miserable in Boston. Boston's been trying not to gone out of their way not to do any negotiations with him for the whole season, and now they're free falling.
They've done the same thing to Devers.
I'm just saying he doesn't have to be a free agent next year. He can get traded to the Phillies, be happy, and opt in next year, and then he's a free agent.
They are a very just weird organization when it comes to these. It seems like they have all these young guys, and they just never re-sign all of them. They put all of them on their bad side. They let them go, and it's just a recycling thing, every 5 years. I don't understand how they ran up there.
They traded Betts, asinine, and they gave JD Martinez all that money, and they thought that Xander Bogaerts was going to be slam dunk, no doubt about it, elite shortstop. He's a very good shortstop, but
he is an elite shortstop. There is no question.
I mean, his statistics for the extension that he wants based on his statistics this year, I don't know about that.
Bob, I tell you what,
I would put him on the same tier as a Dansby Swanson.
He's better than Dansby Swanson. When has Dansby Swanson ever hit 300 for the season?
He's probably better than Jan. You're probably right. He's probably better
a lot.
Than Dansby
The guy can hit. He's not having a great season this year.
He's a professional hitter,
but he's a real good hitter. I mean, here's a guy who has power and can hit to all fields. Okay, he's very close to a lifetime 300 hitter. I don't know exactly. I didn't look it up. I'm just telling you. And I'll tell you what, defensively, this guy is unbelievable. He is a terrific shortstop. And believe me, if I'm saying something good about a Red Sox, you know that I'm being honest about this. Okay, he's a real good player.
Well, they also gave Chris Sale about $1 billion, and I haven't seen him pitch in years.
He pitched one game.
They screwed up with Sale. They screwed up with Eovaldi. Okay, they gave him $68 million for 4 years. Okay.
Well, yeah, they give all these outside guys from the organization all this money, and they never just groom and pay their homegrown talent. It's just mind-boggling to me. We go crazy here in Philadelphia. But just Boston Red Sox, they just seem like it's just a mess.
Yeah.
Well, and bringing to bring in a free agent pitcher like Michael Wacha.
Michael Wacha signing Trevor Story when you already have Bogarts.
That's the
stupid stuff they do. They sign Trevor Story for too much money in case they lose Bogarts.
Well, what they should have been doing was going out and bringing in an outfielder that can hit the ball instead of Jackie Bradley.
But
I know Jackie Bradley is a tremendous fielder, but come on.
Yeah.
So Bogarts this year is hitting .313, really good. 7 home runs, 38 RBIs. Those are a little down. That's worse power numbers and run producing numbers than Nick Castellanos, who I've been crushing all day.
Yeah, but he's hitting .322 though.
Hey, he's .291 career average, to your point, Brad. So pretty close to 300. He's a tremendous player.
Absolutely. And
are you going to go out and do that?
Shortstop. He's an unbelievable shortstop, though.
Because there's no guarantee that basically what this team is boxed into doing is adding at the deadline as they see fit and getting Gene and getting Segura off the books so they can go hopefully sign someone in free agency. Now, I don't really want to get into too much in the offseason because we are in a playoff race here, but you got to be better. I don't think there's a move that can be made that's going to put them above the Braves, the Mets, the Dodgers, or the Padres because those teams are going to add too, right? So there's not a thing you can do. And you look at the roster now, yesterday's game, Bailey Falter pitched and Matt Vierling hit leadoff. There's no way on God's green earth that the Braves, the Dodgers, the Mets, or the Padres would have players the caliber of Bailey Falter and Matt Vierling in those two positions.
They also have way better farm systems than the Phillies. I mean, you're talking about teams that have probably some of the deepest and best farm systems in baseball right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Riley smoking a double. I mean, what else is new? And the Braves are the opposite. The Red Sox are what the Braves are. They want to be like the Braves. The Braves just bring up new guys, and it's fine, and they don't skip a beat. And they lose Freddie Freeman, and they bring in Matt Olson, and they bring out this guy, Michael Harris, and they got Riley, and they got Acuna, and they got Dansby Swanson, and they got pitchers for days. It's crazy how well run some organizations are and how poorly some organizations like the Red Sox and the Phillies, who aren't without resources, are just poorly run. So there's not a thing they can add that puts them over those 4 teams. So you're trying to make the 6th seed, make the last wild card. You're trying to beat out St. Louis or Milwaukee, which is doable. They're not super teams by any means. So, like, you have to buy. You got to do something.
Yeah. So
whether you buy or sell, standing pat is just not acceptable.
Well, they're going to have to do something.
yeah.
So you guys don't think we should get Hoskins traded if we go on a losing streak? Because that's the only worry for me. Because you're not going to re-sign him most likely, right?
Is he a free agent after this year?
Yeah, you got one more year. No, you got one more year.
Right, well, I thought he was done after this season.
Let me check, but I'm like 90% certain that.
But I mean, Reese hitting 255 with 18 home runs, playing an okay first base.
What's wrong with that?
I know, but the fact that we're still losing, even with this lineup without Harper, it's not good, especially getting swept. And you guys know Haas is going to have his days are coming. I'm not going to. I don't want to play on that.
I mean, he's not an MVP candidate. He's not an all-star.
I feel like you would get a lot for him now. And
I don't know if you're going to get a lot. I don't know if you're going to get a lot.
Why would we get a lot? You just said how he's like not that good. I don't understand why you think he's not that good, but other teams are going to think that he's good, and you're going to get something. Now, if you can get something, if you can make a baseball trade for Reese Hoskins, like Brad said, okay.
Yeah.
Because there should be enough star power in this offense to be able to add a pitcher like Luis Castillo for Reese Hoskins, and you'd be okay.
Yeah, but we've been saying that all year, and they have the same hitters in this lineup, and it's either you're going to lose a baseball or you're going to strike out, or you're going to hit a dribbler to shortstop when you need a single into the gap. When you absolutely need. There's no clutch hitting on this team right now. Absolutely not.
Isn't that the way of the league?
I mean, I see the Yankees, I see the Mets, I see the Dodgers, I see all these teams that are contending for a title or at least contending for a playoff spot. I look at the Cardinals. Like these teams have professional hitters. Like our guys, they're just guys. I mean, Kyle Schwarber, 30 plus home runs, still batting 220.
Yep.
Nick Castellanos,
he's down to.
Yeah, that's really bad. Nick Castellanos signed him to be a 300 hitter with 25 home runs and 100 RBI. He's batting in what, 240s right now?
245, 8 homers, 46 RBI,
JT
655 OPS, 290 on base.
JT Realmuto, catcher, $23 million a year. He's just non-existent in the clutch. Like it's the entire team.
No.
Like I think you need a professional hitter on this baseball team in order for us to make a wild card. And not only do I think you need a professional hitter, you need to go get a starter.
You need more than one. I think you need more than one. And you also need to get some pitching, some starting pitching.
Yeah,
I mean, Wheeler and Nola.
Eflin's on and off.
Yeah, Eflin's always hurt too. But Wheeler and Nola, listen, if you're in a short series and you have Wheeler and Nola, okay, yeah, you can go back to back with them and potentially beat a lot of teams. Okay, no doubt. There's no question about that. But the problem is during the season you need a 3, 4, and a 5 who can get people out and also throw some innings, and they don't really have that right now. Yeah. Not on a consistent basis anyway.
But like you got to look at Harper and Segura as basically additions at the trade deadline, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You do.
That's your trade deadline haul from an offensive standpoint.
Those are killer injuries. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
and then
it's the same thing every year.
The problem, and you're right, Jimmy. It is. There's no center fielder. There's no leadoff hitter. There's no bullpen. Past the top 2 pitchers, there's not much, and there's no way this baseball team should be contending with teams like the Marlins and like the Pirates and the Rockies for the last playoff spot.
Yeah. Your bullpen's been solid, to be fair.
I'm gonna.
You're right. It started terrible.
Yesterday.
It's been better.
Well, yesterday is a forfeit because you have Bailey Falter on the mound.
Yeah.
he
The problem is you lost the first 2 games.
You want to talk about a guy that stinks out loud? Bailey Falter's just
Well,
absolutely atrocious.
And it's not his fault. Like,
There's
he's
no
just
reason
not good
why.
enough.
There's no reason why he should be in tenured in the MLB this long. It's the same thing every season with this guy. He stinks.
I mean, if you're Bailey Falter though, and they're telling you to go out and start the game, go make a name for yourself, he's not going to say no.
Well, yeah, I
It's
understand
poor resource
that,
allocation. Just like it's poor resource allocation to sign all these designated hitters and just ignore every other aspect of the game.
Yeah.
It's resource allocations. Like, I'll never blame a guy for I don't blame Nick Castellanos for underperforming his contract. Clearly, the Phillies shouldn't have given him that much money because he's not worth it. He's free to turn it around and prove me wrong and make me look like an idiot, and I'm rooting for that because I'm a Phillies fan. But I've seen nothing from Nick Castellanos, and I'm sick of the quicksand arguments. He's trying to do too much, and this happens, it's slumps, it's baseball. No, this is a four-month quicksand. This is a 4-month slump. This is something bigger, and he's got to figure it out, or this team has no chance.
Yeah,
and Schwarber's cooled off. Schwarber was hitting every ball out of the park. Now he's up there. He's so lost. He's trying to bunt. Like, what are we doing?
I was just about to comment on that. But when it comes to Castellanos, I mean,
Why was he bunting?
we're trying to play small. I honestly, I don't have. Usually, I have an answer to a lot of things. I don't know why he's bunting. Maybe it's a lefty on lefty crime, so he doesn't want to risk a strikeout, or he doesn't want to risk a couple play balls.
Outs, but he can't be serious about sacrificing. There's a drive, but it's right to the center field.
Does he know how to bunt?
I doubt he even knows how to bunt. Kyle Schwarber, why would he ever bunt?
But
I don't want him bunting.
Looking at realistic, and we'll get into a whole trade deadline, no matter who your team is. We're going to try and cover it all here, but if you look at realistic, Bogarts is a pipe dream. They're probably not going to get Bogarts.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They're not going to get Juan Soto, even though
I don't think Boston's going to trade him either.
Boston did actually get through the first inning tonight against Cleveland Indians without giving up a run. So
now
they're moving in the right direction.
They're ahead 1-0 in the third, but the game is now delayed by rain.
Yeah, stop the count. Red Sox want to stop the count. Let's get out of here.
I put money on fucking Boston tonight too, so that's going to be washed.
Well, if the game's rained out, you don't lose.
But if you look at, a guy I've been screaming for the longest time. Now it looks like, if you read rumors on the internet, like we all do, he's going to go to the San Francisco Giants, is Ramon Lorano from the A's, who's great at defense. He can potentially hit leadoff for you. And at least if he gets the ball hit to him, he's going to catch it. He's got a little bit of an arm, and he's not a detriment at the plate like Mickey Moniak and Odubel Herrera are.
He's an okay player.
That's just a little move that probably won't cost you that much. That you can bring in. You look at the A's, the A's are always selling people. They stink. Kyler Murray signed a $46 million guaranteed extension. The entire A's payroll makes $48 million. So they're not interested in paying anyone. You look at their pitching staff. Cole Irving, who was here, Paul Blackburn, who was here, Frankie Montes, who's a stud. Those guys can all help you too. That pitcher will probably cost you a little more. But if you can find any team that's interested in this team's farm system, you should just make any deal you can with them because our prospects all stink.
By the way, Rob, you bring up Kyler Murray, and I do want to talk about that a little bit once we start talking NFL in a little bit.
Yes.
Apparently, he doesn't like watching tape, and there's a thing in his contract where he may lose money if he doesn't watch a set amount of tape on his iPad that's monitored.
So they have what do they have a low jack in his iPad to make sure he's watching?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Because apparently throughout his career, and he's been noted to say that I'm just a guy that likes to look at the football field. I from play to play, and I feel like I have the instincts to be able to see what's happening before it actually happens.
Well,
that's his excuse for not playing or not watching tape. So the Cardinals actually put a thing in his contract stating if you don't watch an X amount of tape, you're not getting an X amount of money.
Well, Vic never reached.
That's a red flag.
Yeah. Well, Vic never watched tape in Atlanta. And then Andy Reid, he came in out of jail to Andy Reid, and Andy made him study and be a professional and watch tape, and he almost won MVP and took the Eagles to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So, I mean, blessing in disguise, if you ask me, because if you get him, if the Cardinals get him to play ball with them and prepare and be a professional, like, he's a tremendous talent.
Yeah.
But
I just found that to be.
We've seen him every year start off great and then go right down the toilet.
We got some good comments here. Tom Arnone wants them to buy at the deadline. Stupid money. Yeah, I mean, and everyone's ripping me for Ryan Swoop's ripping me because Nick Castellano stinks. I mean, it's not my fault. Nick Castellano stinks. I mean, I said it'd be like Jim Salisbury should have been more direct with his line of questioning, but the narrative of the line of questioning is not unfair at all. Man, I think I covered your questions. A lot of people are saying, like John Coyle down there in the OC, saying Nick Castellanos is a professional hitter. He's going to figure it out. I mean, okay, but like, I don't see anything. Look, I watch all the games, right? All the games. And like, you can see guys that are on the cusp of breaking out. They're hitting the ball hard, but it's right at someone, or they're drawing walks. They're having solid at-bats. Nick Castellanos has been having stinky at-bats for 4 months now. That's not quicksand. That's not trying to do too much. That's not a slump. That's just you stink. And that's what he does. He stinks. And guess what? When you stink and you make $100 million, you're going to get asked silly questions, especially in this media.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for hockey season when John Tortorella gets hears some of those stupid questions.
Reese Hoskins strikeout.
Guy on second, and JT's up. Look at JT. 243 with runners in scoring positions. Like, cool. Hopefully it's going to be Jimmy Wagler and Billy Schwim down there on the Ocean City Boardwalk on Sunday. That would be a dynamic duo. Make sure you don't miss that on Wednesday. John Coyle, stop it. Trades like Xander Bogaerts don't happen. His team never as a team out of a playoff race traded for a guy making 15+ mil. I mean, like, I think trades like that are going to happen because I do think Juan Soto's getting moved.
Mm-hmm. I think
he gets traded in the offseason.
I think he gets traded in the offseason too.
Washington needs to have somebody to put fannies in the seats. That'd be a really stupid move if they let him go now. They can get just as much in the offseason as they can during the season.
They could possibly even get more in the offseason.
Yeah, exactly. Because they could have time to really have everybody put their bids together.
You think Soto pulls a hurt back or something?
JT ties the game. Evan made it, so I think if he's not moved by the deadline, he will pull up on a hammy and he won't be playing for the rest of the year.
It's possible. It's possible.
I mean, that would affect how much money he gets, wouldn't it?
No.
But I mean, he's certainly done in Washington. I mean, the Nationals made him fly commercial to the All-Star game.
Oh, that was dirty. Yeah.
Low class, just absolutely low class. Like, okay, you don't want our money. Screw you. You're flying commercial. If I were Juan Soto, I'd be done there after that. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, trade me right now because I'm not playing. And why should he? He's 23 years old. He's going to sign a $500 million contract with his new team. So, like, for who, for what? Like, why risk injury for a team that doesn't even appreciate it? How much money do
you think he's going to get a year?
Depends on the years. Like, Bryce did the Phillies like a huge favor by doing the 13-year, whatever, $330 million deal or whatever, 25 a year for 13 years with no opt-outs and no trade. Like, that's not really how guys do it. Like, is he going to do like a 4-year?
What's Soto going to want per year?
I mean,
he's probably going to be the highest paid baseball player.
Lindor makes 35 a year.
I could see him probably making at least close to 40.
What does Trout make?
He's not even close to Trout. He's not even close to Trout right
now.
Not
anymore.
But people think he is. That's
you got to understand, like, hitters don't enter their power prime until 26, 27 years old. Like, he's 23.
He's going to be making Trout money.
I get that, but
if I were his agent, and I think his agent Scott Boras, like, I'd be doing like a 4-year 150 kind of thing or something like that, so he can be a free agent again at 27, 28.
That would be the smart way to go.
Yeah.
And then that'll just make Bryce's contract even more. What do you think about people who are saying trade Bryce for Juan Soto?
They should be stripped all rights of their talking ability wherever they talk.
That's silliness.
When it comes to talking sports, they should get their license revoked. That's the bottom line. Because A, it doesn't make sense for either team. B, why would Bryce Harper lift his trade clause to go back to a team that he left?
And they boo him. Even though they won a World Series, they boo him every chance they get down there.
And then C,
well, he left. What do you expect?
Money
they won a World
talks,
Series right after he
walks.
left.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's still he left them in free agency. Of course, he's going to get booed.
Well, that's besides the point. He would not lift his trade clause to go back to Washington.
No,
and the guy's been an MVP for a year and a half now, and we're talking about trading him for a guy that I don't like Juan Soto's mentality. To be quite frank, the guy just turned down $450 million.
I think that's a low ball offer, though. Honestly,
$450.
I don't think that's a low ball offer for him.
For the years that they were talking, 445. Yeah, I think that's. He knows he can get more. His agent knows he can get more. So why would he do that to be a part of a loser?
Well, I think it's more the loser part that's the problem. I think he wants to go on a team that he thinks is going to win all the time.
I think he gets traded to LA.
Dodgers?
The Dodgers. I really do think.
I think he's going. I think he's going before the second. I think he's going in season right now.
Yeah.
And
I think he's staying. I think he's staying in Washington for the rest of the season. I don't think Washington's going to trade him yet.
I think
it might be. I think it might be like an off the radar kind of team that gets him, like a St. Louis or a San Fran or a Seattle, or something like that.
And this take I'm about to say, I'm not trying to take a direct shot at the Yankees. I truly think that the Yankees are going to come up short this year. Judge is going to leave, and the Yankees are going to trade for Juan Soto.
Judge is not going to leave. Would you stop your nonsense?
He's going to leave.
I think he's leaving. Put
your money where your mouth is.
I don't think he likes it.
I'll bet you whatever amount of money you want.
I mean, I'll bet you
$1,000 right now he will stay.
I mean, I don't think he's too pleased with how these negotiations are going with him, Brad. And every second the Yankees wait, the price is going up.
He's going to sign after the season. Do you really think the Yankees are going to let him go to possibly sign with the Mets? Come on.
I think that if Uncle Stevie offers him $600 million, I think
Uncle Stevie's not going to pay him $600 million.
Would you rather have a 23-year-old Juan Soto?
I think he would if he had the opportunity to.
Would you rather have a 23-year-old Juan Soto for 10 years, or would you rather have a 29-year-old Aaron Judge for 10 years? I mean,
Soto.
I mean,
I think I'd rather have a Judge right now.
Soto's going to get paid more, right?
I think Judge in every facet of the game is a better player than Soto.
Yeah, I mean, Judge is hands down AL MVP right now.
Judge also is
Judge
the
has
Yankees.
been a great player ever since he came up. First year, he played 52 home runs. The only thing that stopped him is injuries, nothing else. Nobody ever gets it.
Injuries and the fact that he came up at a later age, right? He came up when he was, what, 26?
26, 25?
26, yeah. 25 or 26.
So you guys are going to sign
he went to college, and he stayed in college. He didn't come out early, and he was in the Yankee farm system for 3 years.
Yeah,
they brought him up when he was ready. They brought him up when he was ready to be brought up. Some guys don't mature as fast as others.
I just think Juan Soto,
as a player, he's a much better player than Soto.
Yeah, well,
he's a better defensive player. Even when he came up, better defensive player, better offensive player, better arm, more speed. Is there anything else? Am I forgetting anything else?
Brad,
oh yeah, and
Brad,
he's also a captain. And don't blame him if the Yankees haven't won a championship. The Yankees haven't won a championship because they never get enough pitching. That's the problem. It's not Aaron Judge's fault.
No, I hear you. I absolutely. You're talking to
And
a guy that
he's not going anywhere. You really think the Yankees are going to?
It's just the only argument you have for why everyone agrees with Brad on everything he said, I think, or at least they should. But you're getting a guy 6 years younger who's,
How do you know he's not going to flame out?
Who might be
How
better?
do you know
Who
he's
might
going to
be
be able
better?
to handle? How do you know he's going to be able to handle New York?
That's a good point, but
Well,
I mean,
that's
if he's gonna,
how do you know he can handle? How do you know he can handle Philadelphia? How do you know he can handle Boston?
you don't.
Okay, you don't.
That should go into the consideration on whether the Yankees or the Dodgers different out there on the West Coast.
The Dodgers don't. Well, yeah, but their fans are pretty tough too. But I mean, they're not vicious like we are and like the media is around here. But you know what? Judge handles everything just fine.
Right,
I
he
mean,
can handle New York.
I just don't think.
Certainly
I
a
don't
skill
think
set.
he'd put them.
There is something.
He wouldn't
there
put
is
himself
something
in
to
that situation.
Huh?
He's never really went in a slump.
I
would say that.
Brad, I love Aaron Judge. I love him as a baseball. I think he's a professional baseball player. He's definitely a professional hitter.
Not only are they going to pay him, they're going to pay him and make him captain, and that's going to be it. And then they're going to save a little spot at Monument Park for him. And that's really what they're going to say to him, and they're going to give him whatever the heck he wants in the offseason. But they were trying to get him on the cheap. Okay, it didn't work. But you know what they signed? Derek Jeter. When he signed his second contract, they did the same thing. And Derek Jeter was all pissed off, and they were thinking that he might go to Detroit, where he was born. Yeah, the whole and grew up. I mean, the whole thing there. It's they're not going to let him go. He's the face of their franchise. The Yankees aren't going to do that, and they're not going to. Juan Soto's not going to the Yankees either. Brian Cashman is way too big of a prospect, hugger, to make a trade like that.
The only thing I'll say about Juan Soto, the only argument that you can make is Juan Soto is one of the few players in Major League Baseball that's going to walk more than he strikes out. So he has 455 walks in his career.
And Judge won't do. But Judge will walk 100 times every year too.
I was saying that's the only, and then you're getting a guy that's 23 years old. Like I said it last week, I think, on this show. Aaron Judge or Juan Soto is going to be a Met next year. Through hell or high water. So if it's not Judge, it'll be Soto. And
then the other one's going to go to the other team. I think that's exactly how it's going to work out. And I think it's a 50-50 shot for either or happening.
I just want to see Judge. I want to see Judge go to the Mets just to watch New York and Yankee Nation just burn. They would hate that.
When the Yankees end up with Soto?
Right.
I'll tell you one thing.
I don't think Soto can handle New York.
I'd much rather have
if you lose Judge, you're going to pay to figure it out. Like, you can't lose Aaron Judge and not take a step back. Like, it's just.
Yeah,
they're going to have. Listen, if they do lose Judge, which I don't think is going to happen, they'll find a way.
I think it's totally possible that
they may not get a player as good as him, but if they get if they can sign a couple of players for what Judge would be making.
Like, I think there's a serious chance that Judge gets traded at the deadline and gets traded in the offseason. If a team like Seattle jumps in and gets him,
I think you're smoking crack, Rob.
Like, if a team like Seattle trades for him at the deadline, and
why would the Yankees trade Aaron Judge? They're going to
trade Aaron Judge. I'm talking about Juan Soto.
Oh, I thought you meant Judge.
No. So if Juan Soto gets traded to a Seattle at the deadline and it doesn't work and Seattle wants out, Seattle can trade him to the Yankees for a bunch of their prospects. So it's all wash in the end anyway. So I think that's a possibility if a sleeper team like Seattle or San Francisco.
A lot of people here think that the Yankees will eventually get Juan Soto, but they're going to wait and not have to give up prospects for him and just sign him as a free agent.
How many years does he have left on his contract?
After this year, too.
Yeah, there's no way he sits out for that.
I mean, you still have him on a team-friendly deal for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if he'd
that's why the time to trade him for the Nationals is now, because you're going to get.
But if you don't want to give up some of your best prospects, the Yankees have two prospects that they feel are going to be super players in the next couple of years. Between Jason Dominguez and Anthony Volpe, I mean, they feel both those guys are going to be big stars. You're talking about a center fielder and a shortstop. So I know Washington wants both of them, so that's why I don't think that's happening.
And it might not be. But I mean, like, do the Phillies, getting back to the Phillies, like, do the Phillies have the prospects to grab these big names that are going to be available?
I don't think they do.
I don't think they do. It's going to be Tweak City, and hopefully it's enough to get in the playoffs. And then you got some money coming off the books next year, and you can go shopping again because you can't develop anything.
I think that's the route that the Phillies would go.
All right, so I'm gonna lift
There's
up.
nothing wrong with that either, by the way. If you have the money, why not spend it?
Well, yeah,
exactly.
So I'm gonna list off some names that will be available, and you tell me if the Phillies should go after them. Andrew Benintendi, and not only should. Do you think it's possible that we do get a guy?
I guess it's possible, but I think they're going to get outbid by teams like the Astros and the Yankees.
I think the Yankees are all in on Andrew Benintendi, and they got the farm system to get him. I just it all depends on what happens with Soto. Honestly, I think everybody's waiting to see what. Nobody's going to trade their prospects until Soto gets traded.
So he's going to be like the Kevin Durant of right now. He's basically like that.
Well, he's
like
the king. He's the king of the trade talk right now because he's the best player.
Nothing can move without him moving. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, that's why Washington wants to move Josh Bell first.
Yep.
Right, but nobody wants to give up their prospects while he's available. If he's gone.
Ryan Swoop says the Yankees, they took a bunch of prospects out of the game.
Yeah, I know they did. They moved. They took Dominguez out. They took a catcher out at Double-A, and who was the other one that they took out? I can't remember who off the top of my head. They took 3 guys out yesterday, but nothing happened.
Tells me that they're on the phone.
They're close. Yeah, I think that's for. I think that whole thing is regarding Castillo. I think they're very hot on Castillo right now. So let's see what happens.
Who's next on your list?
I would trade anybody that's not named Anthony Volpe for Castillo. I mean, including Dominguez. But the Reds don't want Dominguez. They want a shortstop. So they could always trade him Oswaldo Pereira too. He's the second rated player. He's the second choice right now.
Brad, it must be nice reeling off all these prospects.
We know them.
Yeah,
we know them. The Yankees bang us over the head with a bat, literally, to know who all these guys are. So,
well, yeah, I got Evan Taylor playing on the Red
shortstop right now. The shortstop right now isn't so bad either. If you look at IKF, he's having a pretty good year.
Yeah,
he's hitting like 275 with a bunch of stolen bases and getting a lot of RBIs. And
275 average? We don't know what that is.
Well, I mean, 275 it's not 300, but it's he gets a spat on the ball. He barely ever strikes out.
There's Bomer getting another hit. He's just a professional hitter.
Bomer's hot.
I have no TV right now. I have DirecTV and it's gone. The rain is banging off my.
So what? What's Stott playing third tonight? No, Bohm's playing third. What's Stott is short tonight?
Stott second. Who's second? I thought
Munoz is second. He's batting right now.
Thunder? Can you guys hear that thunder?
I actually did hear that thunder.
Yeah, Brad, it's a little scary out there.
Yeah, I just hope the ocean doesn't come up here.
Anyway, who else is on your list, Jimmy?
Brian Reynolds from the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oh,
is he a center fielder?
Yes, he is. I would love to see him.
Center fielder and leadoff hitter.
So
we're not getting him.
Oh,
that's a double.
Absolutely, we would need that. I would love that.
He's going to cost us way too much.
2 birds, 1 stone, right there.
Exactly.
See, I'm trading
leadoff hitter, center fielder.
I'm trading Mick Abel and the catcher.
Until they can prove that they can develop someone and they can contribute on the major league level, I'm flushing the toilet every 3 years of our prospect. Save him for what? So I can watch him throw 87 pitches in 3 innings and get the hook and tax the bullpen for the rest of the week?
Yeah. Let me give you Reynolds' just stat because he had a monstrous year last year. And
isn't he on the DL right now?
He just came back. He came back yesterday.
Okay. All right. All right.
So last year he played in 159 games. His batting average was 302. He had 24 home runs and 90 RBIs, 93 runs
On a
and
god awful team.
on a horrible team.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Uh,
started really slow this year.
Even in 2019, he was batting 314 on 491 at bats, 16 home runs, 68 RBIs.
Is he right-handed or left-handed?
I think
He's a switcher.
He's a switch hitter.
Oh my God, he's going to cost a fortune.
So
But like,
Why would the Pirates get rid of him?
when are the Pirates going to draw a line in the sand and be like, okay, we're building from here. Like we have Mitch Keller, we have O'Neal Cruz, we have Hay. Like where's the line where you stop selling and you try and build?
I mean, he is 27 years
know.
old. He's 27 years old, and
So he's just entering his prime now.
he's entering his prime now, but I don't know if they want to pay him. So he signed a 2-year contract, $13.5 million. So
And
pretty
his
soon,
contract's up this year.
So he's a rental.
2022 and 2023.
Okay, so you got him a year and a half.
Yeah. So
So
you're
that
gonna
just
have
drives up the price.
so you're gonna have to pay him probably next offseason. You will have to pay him next offseason. And they're not going anywhere, so they're probably gonna want to get rid of him because
I
they're
mean,
not
thank
ready.
God this team has money.
Yeah.
Because they can't develop.
No.
Exactly.
Ian
And-
Happ's
and-
probably on your list too, right?
Yeah, Ian Happ was my
Yeah,
next
Ian
guy.
Happ.
Ian
I think
Happ.
Ian Happ. I think whoever gets Ian Happ, it's going to be like a package deal where you get him and maybe David Robertson in the same
Yeah,
deal
I would love that.
Perfect.
for like 4 or 5 minor leaguers.
Yeah, I mean that's doable.
Send them all.
I know that
What about
we don't.
Patrick Wisdom? I've heard he's on the
Well,
trade
yeah,
block too.
every one of those Cubs. I mean, Wisdom, Schwindel. You got all those guys.
Strikeout is a strikeout king though.
Well, yeah, I
We don't
didn't
need
say I
that.
wanted them, but
I don't like his game at all. But I heard he's very
Wisdom
very
is just not what we need. Another DH that strikes out all the time and doesn't have a decision. Like, nah.
I know we have Rob's boy from Oakland, Mariano, and we can maybe package that with a Montes, but God knows how much that's going to cost.
Because they have pitchers like Cole. You bring Cole Irvin in here.
I am
you
not
bring
bringing
Blackburn
Cole
in
Irvin
here.
back. I
Like
am not.
with
No.
I'm not touching
Blackburn-
Cole Irvin with a
Blackburn I could
36.5
see.
foot pole.
Blackburn, I can see. I can't see Cole Irvin. Cole Irvin is not worth trading for top prospects for.
you have to look at it from like, are they an upgrade from what you have now? And yes, I would rather have Cole Irvin out there than Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez should be your lefty long man out of the bullpen, in my opinion.
Well, yeah.
And then you can't count on Eflin because he's always hurt. He's still hurt. He's hurt right now.
No,
They're saying he may not be back. He may not be back for another couple of weeks.
out of those 4 guys that I named, the Phillies need to get one of them. Like that, I think that's an absolute need, and you need to pair that with the starting. Like you need to get a starting pitcher, a serviceable starting pitcher, like a Madison Bumgarner. And I know you guys laugh at Zach Greinke, but you need to get a guy, Tyler Mahle. You need to get a guy like that in addition to
good
getting a
Tyler
Brian.
Mahle, maybe I could see him. Greinke, I think Greinke is playing in Kansas City. I think Kansas City just wants him because people come to see him pitch just for old time's sake. I don't know how effective he still is. He's really not that effective.
But like the 4 guys,
Noah Syndergaard is a possibility of
I know it's
getting traded.
Syndergaard. And then you can maybe even possibly pair a Syndergaard with their other outfielder. His name is Tyler Walsh, or is that their first
Tyler
baseman?
Ward? They have Tyler Ward and Jared Walsh.
Yeah,
Tyler Ward.
Walsh is
I don't
having
know.
a terrible season, by the way.
I don't know what they're doing out there. Fielding calls and Ohtani and trading.
I can't believe
It's
they would.
unbelievable what they've just
If
wasted.
they trade Ohtani, that would be even more earth shaking than trading Soto.
That's got the Braves written all over it. Ohtani,
They can't afford
all
it.
over it.
That'd
I
be
think
dirty.
you kind of make
They have a farm system, enough of a farm system, and enough real good young players to make a trade like that. But
But like, do you throw Dansby Swanson in that deal to get Ohtani on an expiring deal? I would.
If it's Ohtani, you give them whatever
you want.
You give them the signing rights to your stadium if you can get Ohtani.
I think that's unlikely.
That's doable.
He gets traded.
You could just call it. It'll have to be called Ohtani Stadium, but or no, it'd be Angels Park, but he could play in Philly, right?
Yeah. Anything.
But the 4 guys you named were what? Reynolds, Hap,
Benintendi, and the last one escaping my name.
Ward.
Hang on.
You left out Castillo.
No, I was just talking center fielders.
Oh, Lorano, my boy.
Laureano, Laureano.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's.
You got to get one of those 4.
Like, is there 4 guys, 4 teams out there that are looking for center fielders? Like, you got to get one of them, right?
I mean, Tommy Pham is another name who's having a quiet year.
That's a good name, and I know he's got a stench on him because he doesn't play fantasy football fair or whatever. But I mean, he's having a pretty good. He's having a pretty good season, and like he can play center field for you. I don't know what his contract is, but I know he had a rough go of it in San Diego. So like, I don't think he signed for much years or much money there in Cincinnati.
So Tommy Pham has $6 million on the books this year, and then a mutual team option for 2023 of another $6 million.
So that's a no-brainer. You get 2 years, $12 million for a center fielder that's way better than Mickey Moniak and Odubel Herrera and Matt Vierling, even though I like Matt Vierling. But he is what he is.
He probably won't cost you a lot either.
I have some more comments here. Ryan Swoto loves attention. He's a very energetic guy. He's full of swagger. Also, a big market enhances his chances of more awards, MVP, and Hall of Fame, etc.
Yeah, I think Soto's destined to be a Yankee. I just feel like it's just destiny.
He's good enough to dictate like where he wants to play.
I can't see him being a Yankee. I just can't see. The Yankees will not give up their whole farm system for anybody. They've already shown that. The only one they might do it for maybe is Ohtani, maybe, but I don't think they do it for Soto.
Soto's a top 5 player in the game. He's up there with Ohtani, Trout.
I don't know what the narrative around Soto like not being a winning player is.
I think it's just because Ohtani can do both. He can hit the ball and
Ohtani's a freak. Like if you can get Ohtani, you have your ace and you have your 4 hitter.
I'm gonna look up Soto's statistics and
I have him right here.
Yeah, he's doing horrible this year in Washington because it's Washington and there's nobody else around. Like what is there
his
to play
ball
for?
on base?
I mean,
Nobody
his
ever
batting
pitches to
average.
him.
His batting average and RBIs are down, but he has 82 walks compared to 58 strikeouts, which is unheard of in today's game. And he has 20 bombs
And nobody
and 17
pitches to him.
doubles.
And you know why nobody pitches to him? Because he has slop around him. Imagine if he's in that Yankees lineup, you're gonna have to pitch to him.
Yeah.
That's
why Josh Bell's having such a good year because they're pitching around Soto and he's getting meatballs and he's hitting them out of the park because he's a good player.
Look, I'm looking at Soto and I'm looking at his statistics right now, and of course I just got bumped.
What do you want? I have him right here. What do you want to know about it?
I want to look up. Okay, here we go. Home runs, 22 in his rookie year, which is pretty impressive. 22 home runs, 70 RBIs, 292 average.
He was 19.
I know. Then in
Didn't he come in the league late too that season?
In his second season,
116 games as a rook.
Yeah, in his
Not
second
really.
season,
No.
his second season was his best season by far. He hit well, no, actually 20. Well, yeah, but they didn't play that many games that year. But in 19 they played. He hit 282, and he had 34 homers and 100.
Brad, he's never had an on-base percentage below 400.
Mm-hmm.
You're right,
and he's not a detriment. I have his baseball reference right in front of me. I mean, we can throw out 2020 because that was only a 47 game campaign because of the pandemic. By the way, he hit 351 with a 490 on base in those.
Right.
In those 47 games with an
over
1,100 OPS.
He was sensational. 2021, $29.95, which is pretty good, but he's not. That doesn't make him the best player in baseball. Not even close. A lot of guys
He's
have
not.
that.
Ohtani is.
He's at the top tier. Like he's in that tier with Ohtani and Trout. But when you say his age, what he's already accomplished before 23 years old, he's in that top tier. And I think Aaron Judge is in the tier below him. The tier
Say
right
no,
They're
below
both
him.
they're both in the top tier.
No.
Aaron Judge right
How
now,
many people are in the top tier?
100 times better than Juan Soto.
I don't
Juan
know.
Soto
Top
is
tier
never-
position guys, 5.
Juan
Six.
Soto has never hit 50 home runs. He's never even come close to hitting 50 home runs. Come on. Judge, when he's healthy,
He
52,
also has
39. A couple of years when he played half a season, he
Brad.
hit 27. Come on now.
I get
he's
it.
gonna have he's gonna
He's
have
already got
7
37
seasons
this
before the
year.
age of 26.
Huh?
He's gonna have 7 seasons before the age of 26. That's
Okay,
when
well,
Aaron
maybe
Judge
he'll-
entered the league.
Okay. Now, today, Aaron Judge has had a better career than Juan Soto as of today.
No one's arguing
Juan
with that.
Soto-
But, like, you have to look at like what he's gonna do.
Long term.
Like, he's got 7 years before he's 30. Judge is
Okay.
already 30.
Okay.
Like, that's a
That's
huge
true.
factor in acquiring talent and building your baseball team.
Okay, but you're not going to get rid of Aaron Judge to bring in Juan Soto. That's
If
stupid.
Aaron
There's
Judge,
no reason
Juan Soto's the only way Juan Soto's gonna be on the Yankees if they pull off a monster prospect trade and give Washington everything they want, and they get him at the deadline, or if Aaron Judge, for whatever reason, walks out the door in the offseason, then the Yankees are going to get Juan Soto. That's the only 2 scenarios the Yankees are going to get Juan Soto.
I agree with that.
Like,
Other than
the
that, they don't
Yankees
need-
should not let
Yankees
Aaron
don't-
Judge go anywhere. Aaron Judge should have been signed in spring training, and they're going to
They
pay through the
should have,
nose
but for whatever
by
reason.
trying to be cheap.
Yeah, well, that's Hal Steinbrenner. That's Hal Steinbrenner's MO, and then he gets burned and has to pay twice as much. You know, that's what he did. They did that with Jeter too, and they ended up paying a lot more. So I don't know why they do that, but they do it. And
There's
By the
more
way-
teams now that are equipped to take on that salary now than there were in the late 90s, early 2000s.
what, $40 million? Because probably you're going to pay Judge $40 million. You know that.
By the way, Juan Soto, I believe his batting average at the start of June was, I think, maybe 220. He's jumped to 250. Like, that is insanity. He's jumped to 250, has 20 home runs now. His on-base percentage is 405. I mean, the guy is on base 4 out of 10 times.
Oh, because they're walking him all the time. They don't want to pitch to him.
Yeah, and imagine him in that Yankees lineup when he has guys around him like Matt Carpenter or Giancarlo Stanton in the middle of that order. That's
And
going to be
Rizzo.
incredible.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm not saying that, but the Yankees don't need Soto. They need pitching.
Well, they don't need him now, but I'm just talking in the offseason.
Okay. in
No,
the
it'd be a luxury fantasy land baseball team if the Yankees were to give up their prospects for Juan Soto, which I'll never criticize a GM for giving up unproven guys for a guy like Juan Soto. But it's nice to know that if you do lose Aaron Judge in the offseason, that you can easily just,
you
wave
could
the
trade
magic
him.
wand and fix it with a guy like Juan Soto instantly.
Yeah, you could, or maybe Ohtani.
And you can't.
Available.
A team like the Yankees can't worry about prospects long term and all that because if you trade for Soto, you have enough money to spend. Like you're gonna be fine.
Right, but you can't have Judge and Soto on the same team.
Why?
Yeah, no.
That's not because they can't pay them both.
They could.
And
Not when they already have
Stanton.
Stanton. I mean, I guess
Not
one
when
of
you
them
have
would be at
Stanton
the
too.
A's.
You're right. Yeah, no, you can't. I mean, come on. What do you want them to have a $500 million payroll?
You're allowed to do that. When the
Yeah.
Mets sign Judge, they're going to have a $500 million payroll. If you think if you think Aaron Judge is going to hit the open market and Uncle Stevie's not giving him a blank check he might get $1 billion from the Mets. Who knows? That guy's a madman. He's a madman. He's a lunatic. I love it. It's great
as I
for the
said,
sport.
I don't think he's going to hit the open market. I think the Yankees and him will work it out.
You better hope not, because you already cost yourself money by not paying him in spring training like you should have. Now, if he hits the open market and you're bidding against people,
I
it's going to
agree.
go way up. Is his agent Scott Boras?
Don't know.
If his agent Scott Boras and he hits the open market, the
I
Yankees are.
don't think it is Scott. I don't think it is Scott Boras, but I mean, it doesn't matter. He's still going to want top dollar, and I don't blame him.
It is.
He is a great player. I mean,
Soto, at least.
We'll see what transpires. But at this point, as I said, while the season's going on, the Yankees aren't going to make a move like that. They're concentrating on trying to win a World Series. They have needs. They're going to try to get Benintendi. That makes the most sense for them because they need a contact hitter who's a left-handed hitter to play left field. Okay, and then they also need to replace Michael King, who that's an irreplaceable injury to have something like that happen. Your eighth inning all-star pitcher who was absolutely lights out this year, and you lose a guy like that. You got to replace him.
Yeah, but you got to roll this Chapman.
Aroldis Chapman
pitch in the seventh.
You can't pitch him in any inning right now. He can't get his.
You send him down here.
You can have him.
You send him right down here.
You can have him. You can have him, and then when he walks the bases loaded, and you're
right. I've been watching relievers walk the bases loaded for 4 years straight now. Okay,
well, you're going to be watching it again.
Have you seen Jose Alvarado pitch an eighth inning? Have you seen him pitch a 10th inning?
You guys obviously have not seen. Did you not see the Chapman saga on Friday night, where the Yankees had a 7-3 lead against the Orioles?
Yeah,
and the game was literally. We're as Yankee fans, you're literally falling asleep because the Yankees have it so under control. And then they bring in Chapman, and he starts walking guys, throwing wild pitches, and then
we've been living this story for 5 years.
First world problems.
We give up grand slams. He gives up. We
just gave up a 9-3 lead, a 7-1 lead earlier, 6-0 lead.
Yeah,
earlier
7-1.
in the ninth.
Cinco de Mayo. Yeah,
7-1 lead we gave up in the ninth inning this past year.
What was it? The Mets.
Was that the first time that happened in 113 years or something?
Something like that.
I mean, statistically
that's been happening for 5 years now.
So if you're telling me I should feel more comfortable with Corey Knebel or Jose Alvarado in my 7th, 8th, 9th inning over
or Andrew
Bellotti,
or Andrew Bellotti,
all these sweatbags that we trot out there year in and year
Nelson.
out. You think I should trust them over Aroldis Chapman?
Take a look at Chapman's last 2 games, okay? And this has been going on since
2 games. I'm talking about 4 years, Brad. We're talking about 2 games.
I'm talking about this season. And Johnny Loizaga, for whatever reason, has no depth on his sinker anymore. Not his sinker, his slider. For whatever reason, it's not moving as much this year as it did last year. Don't know what's going on with him, but he seems to be. I don't know. Maybe he's still hurt. I just don't know. That's what happened to Severino before he got hurt a few years ago.
Don 19, he's checking in. It's going to be Astros versus Dodgers in the World Series. Dodgers are on a tear right now. For whatever reason, Brad, the Astros seem to have the Yankees number.
Well, a lot of it was because a lot of it was this. If you're talking about the doubleheader, you can look directly at the incompetent manager that we possess, Aaron Boone, who benched Stanton and Rizzo game 1. And then in the second game, he goes and starts Domingo Germán instead of Jameson Taillon, which nobody understood that. So, he's not trying to win. He's still, again, we've had this conversation before about Aaron Boone. I can't stand Aaron Boone. I wish I could punch him in the face. He's such a bad manager. This guy thinks that rest is more important than winning. You know how many games we lose because of his stupidity? I mean, he cost us the Red Sox game last year in the playoffs.
You're going to win 120 games, Brad. It's going to be okay.
They're not going to win 120. They're not going to win 120 games when they don't have Michael King and they don't have Severino. Okay, that kind of changes. That changes a lot.
Yeah,
but you act like they're going to do nothing. Whether they're going to do what you want them to do at the deadline, they're going to do something.
Oh, they will. I think. I hope. I mean, we've seen this before, and then nothing ended up happening. Verlander ends up getting traded to Houston. Then Zach Greinke gets traded to Houston. Are they going to let Castillo get traded to Houston too?
They gotta stop hugging prospects and pony up. Do you want to? It's interesting.
Yeah, I give Cincinnati whatever the hell they want to get that guy. That guy's a stud.
Because the Cashman Steinbrenner regime is kind of like the Howie Laurie regime in Philadelphia, where they care about like sustained long-term success, like maybe a playoff win here, maybe 2 playoff wins there, but you're competitive every time. That's how the Yankees are set up. I mean, I'm not that type of person. I'm just pushing it all in, try and get a ring.
At some point, you have to realize that you need another pitcher. They went and they paid Cole all that money. Okay, they had Severino, who I think was a perfect number 2 pitcher. Now they got Cortez as a number 2 pitcher, which is fine. I think Cortez is fine. No problem with him at all. But I think you put Castillo as the number 3 pitcher between Cole and and you have Cortez between Cole and Castillo. I mean, those 3 in a short series, nobody's going to beat that team.
But if you lose out on Castillo, you're just going to trade for Frankie Montas.
Well, let's see if he's healthy first. He's going to have 2 trade. He's going to have 2. He's going to have 2 starts before the trade deadline.
What, did he just come back? He was hurt?
Yeah, he was hurt. He's got 2 starts before the trade deadline, so you can take a look at him.
I mean, he's got like
a Yankee Stadium, and he was as dominant a pitcher as we've seen all season.
I mean, he has a 108 whip on a god awful team. Another neat. I don't know what the Diamondbacks are thinking or doing out there, but they got a pitcher from South Jersey named Zach Gallen who would be an interesting ad for the Phillies.
Yeah, you remember Henry White?
You pair that.
That's his cousin.
You pair Zach Gallen with Bumgarner.
Yeah, Zach Gallen is his cousin.
But I don't know what they're doing there. Let me look at these standings real quick.
I would like me some Madison Bumgarner too. He's having a pretty solid year this year with them.
You catch that?
Makes a lot of money and he's a kook. I don't know.
Did you see the exchange between Bumgarner and Victor Robles?
I did not.
What did he do now?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
It was 7-1. It was 7-1, and Robles hit a bomb, and he Cadillac'd it. He stood there and watched it. And trotted around.
You don't do that. You don't do that to Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah, and Mad Bum was just like, "What are you doing? You're down 7-1. It's your 3rd home run of the season. act like you've been there before." Kind of a thing. And then Victor Robles called him a clown, and then Victor Robles sat in the dugout the whole next game with like one of those red clown noses on his face.
I saw that. Yeah, I did see that.
That's why he did it, because Madison Bumgarner called him out. But there's
a winner.
It seems like there's a lot of pitching out there to be had.
We have a lot of losers on this team. It would be nice to bring in a winner.
He is a winner. I would agree.
Like Bumgarner is head and shoulders above your boy Greinke.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate Bumgarner. If Bumgarner's all you did, then no thanks. But like if you bring in Gallen and they'd say you can have Gallen, but you got to pay Bumgarner too. Okay,
that's fine.
We can do that.
And then you go out and get an Ian Happ. That's perfect. That's my perfect little world right there. Get 2 solid pitchers. You bring in a guy that could play center field, and that could also come into the infield as well. You also got to.
Do you guys have enough though to make it? Have enough minor league talent to make that kind of trade?
Well,
I think it's going to be a one and done. I think they're going to make one trade.
There's another guy in Cincinnati that's making $600 and something thousand, and that's Brandon Drury. He plays third base, but he could also play in the outfield. He's a utility.
He plays
guy.
everywhere, right?
Yeah, he plays everywhere. We had him in New York, and he was a disaster.
He's batting .278 this year, and he has.
I know he's got like 18 home runs, right? Something like that.
But why? But that place is a launch pad in Cincinnati. Like, why do I think when he gets traded? Yeah, for everyone but Nick Castellanos, apparently.
Yeah. Did we get another red?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if Brandon Drury's not hitting at that power clip, if he gets traded, Seattle's been a popular place I've seen, and that's the kind of player that they target too. So that makes a lot of sense.
Brandon Drury got traded to Seattle. He'd never hit any home runs. That's
incredibly
Yellowstone Park, basically.
Yeah, it's an incredible advantage for the pitchers there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you don't have enough in the minor league system to get Ian Happ and a pitcher, Brandon Drury is a cheaper option, and you could still get a Class A pitcher.
Where do you play him?
Well, Cincinnati would definitely give him up.
You have to play center field. He would have to.
I mean, I know he can play the corner. Can he play center? I guess he can't be worse than the bums we have now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could be. Center field is not an easy position, guys.
I mean, unless you go all out on Brian Reynolds and then you go get just
Brian Reynolds would be. I think
if you-
Brian Reynolds would be your answer.
now look, if you go
I've
get
always-
Brian Reynolds and then you get a Kyle Gibson and Ian Kennedy like you did last year, I'm swimming with the fishes. I would like it. I would love it. You know,
Jimmy, if you trade Abel or Painter or pitching, you better get pitching in return. Trading pitching away for position players is stupid. Don't give away pitching.
yeah, I saw that. I mean,
Ryan, we don't have pitching to give away. Like, that's great. Abel, I mean, stop with Mick Abel. Like, is that his name, Mick Abel? He was the first overall pick and then had all these problems, and he's just made it back now as a 31-year-old. Like, that's not a prospect.
Is he that old?
I think so. If he's the same guy I'm thinking of, unless I have my prospects confused. Painter just got drafted a few years ago. I mean, who knows? What's he in?
Mick Abel's 20.
Mark Appel is who I'm thinking of. My bad.
Yeah. He played what one game this season almost.
Yeah,
Nah,
I think they did him for a spot start.
He's been
Like,
playing.
what are
in all
these guys in?
blowouts.
Abel?
Mick Abel. Let me bring up his stats.
Like, I'm not
Yeah,
holding up a trade for a prove to try and go win a championship or advance in the playoffs. Like, I'm not letting Andrew Painter or Mick Abel
All right,
stand in the way of that, like, at
Let-
all.
Oh boy.
let me
We have
read
a
you off.
situation, by the way, developing in Kansas City. Shohei Ohtani just fouled the ball off his knee.
Oh,
and
man.
He won't put any weight on his leg right now.
That sucks.
Now he's standing.
Let's
He'll
trade
walk it
for him
off.
while he's hurt.
He
That
better
looked
walk it
bad.
off for my
That looked bad. That looked
freaking
like
fantasy teams.
that looked like that he started to walk it off. I guess he's okay now. I don't know, maybe not.
But, like, Mick Abel has a 4.32 ERA in
Just
Abel.
about to say it. I was just literally. He
Like,
is.
he's the
pitching-
future.
He's
Untouchable.
He is 5-7 in Lakewood. 4.25 ERA.
Like, is he striking people out at least? 150 strikeouts?
You're holding that guy for Brian Reynolds?
Absolutely not. I'm not.
I'm not. What's Andrew Painter's stats looking like? Let's look up Andrew Painter.
Now Otani's okay, guys. Kansas City fans gave him a standing ovation when he walked
His
in.
first name, Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew Painter, right?
Yep.
Yep, here he is. He's 6'7", which I like. But
I don't
he's got good stats. Just lost it here. Yeah, he's got a 1.47 ERA.
Mhm.
105 strikeouts, only 20 walks. So yeah,
Okay,
maybe
perfect. And I would sell him down the
That
river
guy-
for Brian
that
Reynolds.
That guy sounds pretty good though.
cool.
So you never know
Let
what
the Pirates sit on him for 3 years until he can maybe or maybe not contribute at the major league level. I don't have time for this nonsense with these prospects. I don't. I want to win now, today. Like, prospects are like high school girls. Like, there's always a new crop coming in. Prospects aren't going anywhere. You're gonna have you're just not. They're always gonna reshuffle. Every guy's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and this, that, and the other. We hear the same thing every year. I'm not holding up trades that make me better now for Andrew Painter or Mick Abel. Like, I'm not. Nor Logan O'Hap or whatever his name is, this catcher who not even going to play on our team anyway because we have JT locked in for what, 3-4 more years.
3 more years.
So he's
yeah. Yep.
By the way, Madison Bumgarner, $23 million this year, $23 million in 2023, $14 million in 2024, and then he's a free agent in 2025.
So yeah, you can't touch him. You can't. I mean, even if you're getting Gallen with them, I can't. Because that prevents you, like we talked about Trey Turner and Bogarts last week, that'll never happen if you take on Bumgarner.
Yeah. No,
Unless they're paying. Unless Arizona's paying you to take them.
Unless they're paying like half of it.
At least
then,
half.
Yeah. So.
Because he's not good anymore.
No. And not for that.
So let's just go around the horn and give what we want for each of our teams this deadline, and then we'll talk some football around the league as training camp slowly approaches. So I guess we'll start with you, Rob, and then I'll finish it off.
I'll go with a combo deal, the Ian Happ Robertson combo deal from Chicago. That sounds good. Like maybe one of those pitchers, maybe you give one of those pitchers and some other stuff to Chicago for that. That seems like it would make the most sense.
Yeah. My only issue, and I think that would be great, but I still need a starter because you can't be rolling into August and September and possibly even October.
What about Noah Syndergaard?
Just depending on Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, and if you could get that Chicago deal with Syndergaard, then yes, I would love that.
Syndergaard would work for you guys.
I just don't know. What are we giving up for Syndergaard if we get are we going to give up?
He only signed a 1-year contract.
Yeah, so he's a rental and he's got like a 4.75 ERA. Like
right, but he probably will pitch better in the second half. He is coming back off of Tommy John surgery, so he'll probably pitch better in the second half. So I think he's worth it. I think he's worth a gamble because you probably won't have to give him anything.
All right, Evan, who do you want?
I really like Benintendi. I really do. I just think that you need that guy who can make contact. You see how bad you're losing out when you don't have a guy like Gene Segura, who is a contact hitter, and not just that one guy who can hit a home run. I'm tired of seeing solo home runs because that's all we've seen all year by Schwarber and Harper and all them dudes. But at the end of the day, you just need a guy on base. You can't start off with Schwarber. That's really not a good option. You should have Schwarber at the 4 or the 5. With the full roster, everyone healthy, he should be a 4 or a 5. Absolutely. But I really think Benintendi would help us a lot with the center field wise, and he could be our leadoff, and that's huge.
I mean, just to piggyback off of that, if we do end up getting a Benintendi, which is possible, you could put him in the one spot, play him in center field, and then all of a sudden, Gene Segura comes back in the middle of August, and he's your 2-hole hitter. So then you could possibly have a Benintendi, a Gene Segura, and then a Harper when he's healthy. Like that's Harper, a killer 1, 2, 3 right there. Put Schwarber in your 4-hole.
Yep. Hoskins in the 5. Then you got towards the back. Say if Nick Castellanos gets hot.
That'd be a nice lineup.
This is what we talked about. That's what we thought we were getting. Like at the beginning of the season, we thought that we were gonna get this potent offense that scores all these runs, and it just hasn't worked out like that.
I just feel like I knew from the beginning that there was going to be some struggles because that first couple games, what was against the A's? Yeah, you beat the A's, all that nonsense, whatever. I knew they weren't going to go in hot because you have all these guys who are home run hitters. Castellanos, he was batting 300 right last season, and Schwarber is a known home run hitter, and you just have all these guys who could just hit home runs, but no one's getting on base. That's the only issue. But if you get a contact hitter, you can hit 3-run home runs instead of solo home runs.
Now you score enough runs, you hit enough 3-run homers, it doesn't matter who's in your bullpen because you're up 8-1.
Yeah, you just need to make contact with the baseman because some of these, like Schwarber's doing great this season, I think, but his average is just that's not good.
Is Schwarber is anyone shocked by like what Schwarber's doing? Like I was under the impression like that's what we signed up for.
Exactly.
220 average, and he's probably going to hit 50 home runs. If you hit 50 home runs, I can look past your deficiencies. Castellanos, I can't look past your deficiencies anymore because you're strangling this lineup.
I'm going to give you guys a name, which I haven't heard anybody mention, who might be available. Anthony Santander on the Orioles.
From Baltimore.
Really good player.
What is he?
But that's again? Another team. That's another team like the Pirates. Where do you draw the line? Because they're trading Mancini. Mancini tweeted that like
Yeah, well, Mancini's getting old, and he's not having a great year. Santander is in the league 6 years. This is let's see, 1, 2, 3. This is his 6th season, so he's got one more year to go. His season this year, 16 home runs, 49 ribbies, 12 doubles, and let's see, 35 walks, 70 strikeouts, batting .241, on base .328, slugging .427, OPS .755. Guy's a solid player.
I wish Nick Castellanos had those stats, and then we wouldn't have to talk about guys like Anthony Santander. I mean, seriously,
He's a lot. He hits the ball a lot better than Castellanos is. He'd be. I mean, I know the Yankees are discussing him too. I don't see Baltimore making that trade though. I think they like him and they're going to.
I mean, like I said, where do you draw the line? You're 3.5 out of a wild card in Baltimore.
Yeah, well, I would. Baltimore is on the cusp, and they're beating up on Tampa Bay right now, and they may be beating up more on them if whoever's up right now gets a hit, because it's 4-1 with second and third and one out for Baltimore in the 5th inning. Mm-hmm. So, Baltimore is a good team. Anybody who's watched them and they just got a base hit, so 1 run scores, just 2 run score.
One other name, and Ryan Swoop just said it. I was trying to get to Dorius Garcia from the Texas Rangers. I just think he's another hitter like the one that we have, like the ones we have.
Who was your name? I was texting.
Adolis Garcia. He said.
Adolis Garcia from Texas.
Texas is another team. Like they spend all this money. Like I don't know. The second wild card makes it like way more of a gray area on like who is going to be like stone sellers.
Yeah, I think that second wild card's the wild cards are gonna belong to the 2 teams in the West, and then the rest is gonna be fought out in the East. And those 2 teams in the West are Seattle and obviously Houston.
Oh, you're talking America. Okay, I see.
Yeah, in the American League.
Seattle's going.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And then the rest are coming from the AL East. Right, it's got to be the Rays and the Blue Jays.
Probably Toronto and the Rays.
It'll be the Blue Jays, Rays, and Seattle. I think those are the teams that are set in place in the AL.
Most likely, they'll all be favored to beat the Twins.
Yeah, you just got. I mean, I'm not even sold that the Twins are going to hold on to that because Cleveland's just not going away, and the White Sox are so talented, and the White Sox are 7-3 in their last 10. So maybe they're starting to figure it out there. I don't know.
Adolis Garcia, by the way, has only played 2 full seasons.
He's young.
Yeah, and he's got 4. He's got 4 years in the tank. He's still got 3 years left. And this year he's got 17 home runs and 58 RBIs. Last year, 31 homers and 90 RBIs. That guy's a good player. Yeah, it doesn't hit for a high average. 243 last year, 248 this year.
Yeah, Alec Boehm doesn't even want Nick Castellanos to bat anymore.
Jimmy, did you say your dream scenario there before we go on to football?
I like your Oakland, just because Billy Beane and that organization just likes to sell everybody. So I think we'd be able to get a bargain for Laureano, especially since off the field problems, considering he's coming off a 60-game suspension. So you could probably get him for the cheap, and then you throw in a Frankie Montas, who is, 29 years old, you said, Brad?
Yeah, he's a beast.
He's up there. He's up there. They're not going to pay him. I think I like the Oakland Philly, the connection we have. So maybe,
I mean, you can't listen. Even though he's 3-9, you throw that out because Oakland stinks. Yeah, flat out. The only good player they have on their team is Sean Murphy, and he's a catcher.
Yep, and he's probably going to be moved too.
Yeah,
I bet you he'll be.
I'd be shocked if Sean Murphy doesn't get traded. He's going to get traded. He's a good catcher. And
he'll be a Yankee or a Met.
He could be a Yankee. I could see that.
Mets make a lot.
That's not something that the Yankees are going to do right now, though. I think they're going to put up with their catching. this year.
Well, the Mets are going to try and get Contreras.
Yeah, I was just about to say, how about the Yankees with Contreras?
That would be pretty good. I don't think the Yankees are going to do that. I think the Yankees are going to end up trying to get Benintendi. I think they're going to definitely try to get Castillo. I think that's on the top of their want list, and they're going to try to get David Robertson back because David Robertson has pitched in New York with the Yankees,
smokes,
and he's always been really good with them.
Look at that. 2 hits in the same game for Nick Castellanos.
But yeah, my dream scenario, it's gonna be maybe one of the pitchers from Colorado because they always sell off all of their pitchers because none of the pitchers can pitch in Colorado. But
how about John Gray this year? How about John Gray this year? He's a sterling example of what you're talking about.
Well, yeah,
literally got sent to the minors last year, and now he's back with Texas, and he's having a career year.
You got Chad Kuhl. You got Quintana, I think.
Santazella.
Yeah, Alex Colomb. Like, you got all these guys from Colorado. I think the Phillies got to dip into the Colorado Rocky pitching staff.
Isn't Colomé a relief pitcher, though?
Yeah, I want them to get Montes as their starter and then get a reliever. So. And then
I think that would be pretty solid if you did that.
Yeah, get the Oakland package and then get a reliever from Colorado. I think that's my dream.
By the way, good news for you guys: San Diego taking it on the chin from Detroit. It's now 11-4.
We're not watching them though. We're watching the Central.
Okay, we'll forget the Cubs. We're
watching St. Louis and we're watching Milwaukee.
Okay, St. Louis is not playing right now. I don't see them up here right now. I got the screen with all the games on. The extra innings mix. So I get to see all the games that are going on right now. Tampa Bay is putting a licking on Baltimore. Baltimore is putting a licking on Tampa Bay now. It's 5-1 in the 6th inning.
I don't think Tampa Bay's hit this year.
No, they really haven't. They just lost Harold Ramirez too, which is a huge loss for them. Guy was hitting 320.
And I just don't think I don't think Tampa's it this year.
Well, they can still pitch.
They always have a chance just because of their pitching. But then I think the analytics is always just going to get in their way, and they're always just going to choke it away.
Yeah, they have tremendous pitching and a tremendous bullpen. So that's the one thing they do have.
All right, what are we thinking? What are we thinking about football? Training camp starting, exciting. You're getting guys flying around on NFL Network. It's fun. It's exciting.
Must be for you guys. Definitely not me.
I don't think your Giants are going to finish last.
I think the Giants are going to be a 7-10 football team.
I don't think the Giants are going to be
exciting. How do you like that?
I think New York does better than Washington.
They're going to give up 400 points this year.
See, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Washington's defense is going to bounce back. I think Carson Wentz is going to be serviceable for them. You got Scary Terry.
You're still on this Carson. You're not going to get – dude, I was on the Carson Wentz train too, Jimmy, for a while.
Rob,
what do you think about Jalen Reagor?
He's going to have a big year for Washington. You watch.
We have seen this story before. We're going to be all hyped up for week 3. We're going to go down to Washington, and he's going to break our hearts. He's going to break our hearts.
I totally agree with
you. And then the middle of November on my birthday, he's going to come into the link. We're going to be all hyped. It's going to be like the Brooklyn Nets versus the 76ers all over again when Ben Simmons came to the arena, sat on the bench, and just absolutely spanked us.
Jimmy, but you can't ignore, is Carson Wentz going to play well in some games and get Washington Commanders some wins? Yeah, but he's also going to have his Carson Wentz what the fuck moments where he's going to cost them games too.
He had a good season last year, and he choked against the Jaguars. He choked
twice.
In what, a 4-week span?
And then the remember the game against the Titans last year? At home, he tries to throw the ball left-handed out of his end zone. Then he doubles down with another awful pick in overtime. That's what he is. He's going to win you some games. He's going to lose you some games. I'm not worried about Washington at all. I think they're going to finish last.
Yeah,
and I think the Eagles are better than Dallas.
I think the Eagles are winning the division. I think
Yeah, I would agree with you guys. I think you guys have had a great off season.
like A plus. And if we get Jesse Bates,
You had a big off season this year. Well, let's see what happens. The only thing I still wonder about is your secondary, but your team as a whole is a lot better. You're going to have a better pass rush. Your offense should be a lot better now. We'll see about your quarterback situation. That's always going to be an ongoing issue, but we'll see. I just don't think that they can win a playoff game right now. I don't think they're good enough.
I agree with everything Brad just said. I think that the deficiencies of Jalen Hurts are not going to show up as much in the regular season, but when he's playing prime competition and do or die playoff time, I think that's where, just like last year, his deficiencies will come about, and the Eagles won't win a playoff game.
The problem is when you play a real good defense, that's where your problems get exposed.
Well, yeah, you saw him even when he was here during the good times. He struggled against top-notch defenses. He has yet to beat the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow.
I'm not worried about like stats like that. I mean, that's.
So now where's Russell Wilson playing again? I forgot.
Denver.
By the way, Denver, AFC West champions.
You think?
I'm putting that on the books.
It's a popular pick. I mean, I don't know. I look at the Chargers out there, and like they are just loaded.
So is Kansas City still.
You can't not take a step back when you trade Tyreek Hill. I think that was a stupid trade.
Well, it was a stupid trade, but at the same point, they still have Mahomes. They'll find somebody else who
playoff team for sure. Like I don't see the Chiefs missing the playoffs or anything. And then the Raiders are really good too.
The Raiders just added a great receiver.
Well, yeah, the Raiders are at plus 650 to win the West.
They're the worst odds. So like I would as a betting man, which I know you are.
It's not very high for the worst.
Like you put $30 on plus 650.
Yeah, just the worst team in a loaded division. Like, hey, you can make arguments for all those teams.
But at plus 260, I'm going with the Broncos. I think that's just extreme
They have the best
value.
defense. They definitely
They do have the best defense. They have Russell Wilson, who just had he had a rough year last year, but even at the end with a horrible defense, horrible offensive line, he really only had two players next to him. I know their running back had a little bit of a surge at the end of the year, but he really only had two players next to him the entire year: DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and that includes the defense. Nobody was on that defense. And then he was hurt.
Their whole team was out last year. They were all hurt. So
Ryan Swoop. I mean, it's going to come down to the Chargers and the Bills in the AFC, and you see the Chargers winning and going to the Super Bowl. That's kind of my prediction right now. Except I'm going to have the Bills going to the Super Bowl. Bills winning that football game, but the AFC is loaded. Like there's going to be good football teams that don't make the playoffs, and there's probably going to be one or two teams that are not the greatest making it in the NFC.
Do you think Cincinnati comes back to earth this year?
That's another hard division.
I think they struggle.
I think the Ravens are coming back strong. They're never bad 2 years in a row. Lamar Jackson wants his money.
They had a zillion very good excuses last year for what happened to them.
And they were still right there, really. I mean,
they lost so many close games.
I would be betting on the Ravens to win the AFC North.
I think they still should be the favorites.
They are the favorites.
Ryan Swoop talking up Kazir White, the linebacker the Eagles signed from the Chargers as a guy to watch. And I totally agree. You have
him next to Dean in a
Kobe Dean, Davion Taylor, who showed signs before he hurt his knee and had to miss, and Kazir White, and then Dean in the third round. Like all of a sudden, you have competent linebackers. Like you have linebackers who can do both run, protect, and cover people, which is something that this football team hasn't had in years. And I looked at the way Jonathan Gannon wants to run his defense. Like he doesn't share the front office's mentality that linebackers don't matter. He needs linebackers that can go and make tackles and make plays. And I think they have that now.
Yeah, I think they come out in a 3-4 base. I think Kaiser White and Kobe Dean are going to man that defense. Maybe not, but
3-4 base.
maybe not in week 1. But I say maybe 5 weeks into the season, Kobe Dean just earns playing time.
It's an option now though, like where it wasn't before.
Well, yeah. And then you got TJ Edwards for run situations. Like this defense is going to be good. And the Jesse Bates hot stove is just heating up every single day.
Well, am I weird for wanting Kareem Hunt to get traded for instead of Jesse Bates?
You're not weird. Not weird at all.
I mean, I'd rather trade for Kareem Hunt. I mean, that team's a disaster. There's props on it, and I haven't looked it up yet, but I 1,000% want to place a bet on the Browns having the first pick in next year's draft.
Oh, they're not going to be that bad.
Yes, they are. They're a disaster.
What a
Not
play
only
by
are they
that
like
team.
not that good, but they're a circus. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, just bringing in I understand why you bring in Watson because he can throw the ball and he's really good, but he's got all this nonsense and you give him all that money guaranteed and he's going to get suspended. And like your two best players are running backs. Amari Cooper, he's talking about not being clutch. Amari Cooper, he's never done anything clutch in his life. And like their offensive line's pretty good, so maybe they can bully teams. I don't know, but I don't know.
They still have a pretty good defense, though.
You're playing in that division, and you might have Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback. I'm basing this bet on Jacoby Brissett being the quarterback for the whole season,
And Josh Rosen being the backup.
and Josh Rosen being the backup. Because I don't see how you can let Deshaun Watson play football this year if you're the NFL. Or else you're just the biggest.
I don't think he's going to get suspended for the whole season. 6 games.
Bad look. It's just
I mean,
a bad look.
What, you're 1-5 there, and you're playing against the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Bengals.
What is their schedule to start? Let me pull that up.
I think the Bears are going to be really bad too, but there's probably not as good odds on that as there is the Browns.
So they start at Carolina.
They start at Carolina
And Baker Mayfield is going to run them out of the building.
Yeah, totally agree. And then
they,
Baker will go back to being Baker after that, but that's going to be his Super Bowl, and he's going to shred.
Yeah, and then they go home. Their home opener against the Jets. I think that could be a win for them. So they go 1-1.
Jets are better though. Like
they are better, but I don't think they can win I don't think they'll lose their home. Their defense is still pretty good.
I wouldn't say that's a guarantee. I mean, I hear you. Like they'll probably be favored, but I mean, I wouldn't chalk that up as a dub.
I mean, here's the thing. How much better is Jacoby Brissett than Jalen Hurts?
A lot. Like Jalen Hurts is way better than Jacoby Brissett. Come on. I don't like Jalen. I don't think Jalen Hurts is it at all.
I was never a fan of him.
If Jacoby Brissett's your backup, okay, cool. That's fine.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But who's to say they don't go the Philadelphia Eagles route from week 6 till the end of the season where you're just run? Because the Browns have a great offensive line. They have 2 great running backs, and they have a top 5 defense. So who's to say that they can't go 500 until Deshaun Watson comes back, if he does?
I mean, they
back.
could. Like,
But I don't know. I mean, they're 100% losing to Baker Mayfield. I know that.
But like we talk about all the time about teams that are run good and teams that are run bad, and the Browns are run bad.
Atrocious.
Yeah, it's amazing because they got all those picks and looked like a pretty good football team on the rise, and their front office goes out and still finds a way to screw it up.
It's Don 19.
It's almost crazy that they do that.
And Don 19 is like Calvin Ridley gets suspended for a year, but Deshaun's only going to get 6 games.
I mean, it shows you how much money is an influence to.
Hey, I don't know that for sure, guys. I'm just throwing that out there because that's how long they suspended Zeke.
Yeah,
and it's a similar situation. I just don't think that they'll. I don't think they're going to be
6 to 8 games. It's going to be 6 to 8 games.
Could be 8. Could be 8, but it's going to be at least 6. But it's not going to be the whole season. They're not going to do that.
This just shows you how much these people care about money and how it's just up to money. Because once the public sees that, oh my God, these professional athletes are betting on these games, they're influencing the ending of games, possibly. Like that's why Pete Rose is banned from MLB for how many years now? Because he can't. It's a bad look, and they will start losing money if they see that these players are gambling.
Did you see the Phillies are going to let Pete Rose attend the 1980 anniversary?
Yep.
I think that's the first one that he's been invited to, and they're going to let him go on the field and everything. You know, Philly, all the degenerates in Philly, they're going to be on their feet hooting and hollering for him.
Oh my
and
god!
Why wouldn't they though? I mean, the whole thing. You know what, Pete's got mental issues. I think. I mean, that's, you know what, you have to respect the player. The guys the whole time. Think about how stupid baseball is, though. Just think about this, okay?
Don't even get me started.
Okay, just think about the stupidity. And I want to say this about the Hall of Fame because I'm still not over it. I thought I was, but to see the fat fuck on TV yesterday, I'm sorry. It just brought it right back. Okay.
Unanimous DH Hall of Fame first ballot. Yeah, I'm totally out on that as well.
A steroid using man who not only cheated on his wife with a drug lord's wife or girlfriend, okay, and then buys her a $63,000 Lexus, but then ends up having a hit put out on his wife for cheating on with said girlfriend. He gets shot, and this is the guy you put in the Hall of Fame, okay? But Barry Bonds, who also did roids the same way David Ortiz did roids, who is probably considered the greatest player in the history of the game right now, is not in the Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens is not in the Hall of Fame. Okay, Pete Rose, the greatest hit man in the history of baseball, is not in the Hall of Fame. But they put a scumbag like David Ortiz in the Hall of Fame when he is guilty of everything that those guys did.
And I think it's a perfect year to kind of rectify. Next year is like the perfect year to kind of rectify some of this stuff because look at here's the notable nominees that are on the ballot for the first time next year. Carlos Beltran, Matt Cain, Jacoby Ellsbury, Andre Ethier, John Lackey, Mike Napoli, Francisco Rodriguez, Houston Street, Jared Weaver, and Jason Worth. None of those guys are Hall of Famers.
Wait, who is the first name? Just the first name you said.
Beltran.
Okay.
He's the most acceptable.
He's very,
but he's not.
He's very good, but
nobody's going to make it. Nobody will make it next year.
So that's a year you trot up Pete Rose, Clemens, and Bonds and rectify your mistakes on not having your Hall of Fame accurately depict the history of baseball.
Now, is there a set amount of years where if you don't make it, then you're not allowed to be eligible?
There's all kinds of if you're on the ballot the first year and you don't get 15% of the vote, then you're automatically off. That's why Howard and Jimmy were only on for 1 year. They didn't get enough votes to be on second year. Then what is it you're allowed to be on for 10 years or something. And if you don't make it, then you're off. Then you got to go to the special veterans committee. Right. So there's all kinds of rules like that.
How long has Clemens and Bonds been on? It's been almost 10 years, hasn't it?
Well, Bonds has got to get in on the committee now.
Oh, okay.
Last time was his last time. Clemens, I'm not sure. I don't remember reading that. But yeah, and then obviously Pete Rose would have to be a veterans committee because he's been banned for a while now.
Well, until they let him see, they're playing politics with him. Okay, until they actually unban him from baseball because he's banned for life right now. Until he's allowed back in baseball, he can't be eligible to be nominated for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Don 19. You don't even have to look at Barry Bonds' San Francisco Giants stats, which are unbelievable, by the way. If you just look at what he did on the Pirates, he's a Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
That's back before he did the juice, allegedly. He was a leadoff hitter. He was a gold glove center fielder, and the Pirates were really good.
Right. And then as soon as they let him go, that's when the Pirates started going down.
Two of his MVPs, I think, came in Pittsburgh. At least one.
Yeah, and he was sensational in San Francisco too.
So yeah, I totally agree with you. We got some Eagle stuff here from Ryan Swoop about the pass catchers and how those stats are going to be distributed. AJ Brown will have more receptions and TDs, but Devontae Smith will have more yards. Goddard will have double-digit TDs and 1,000 yards. Goddard will benefit most from the receivers. Ryan, I mean, I love you, but I think your head's in the clouds on those statistics.
Who's throwing them the football, Ryan?
Projections. I don't think that means you think Jalen Hurts is going to have 4,000 to 4,500 yards passing, and I don't see that happening. Like you can't
I don't think the
deviate.
Eagles can win if he's if he's throwing the ball that many
No,
times.
And then
You have
everybody's
to
going to
be-
blame it on Sirianni. Like, and that's another thing that I just don't understand about some of the people in this city is people are trying to project like a lot of things on the Nick Sirianni. Like he didn't change up his entire offense to compensate for lack of arm from said quarterback. Like
No.
that's what he did last year. And
Nick
people are still trying to
Sirianni's-
throw a lot of
he
shit on Nick
started running
Sirianni.
He started running the football and not throwing as much.
Nick
Exactly.
Sirianni was a D3 receiver. He was a receivers coach and whatever offensive coaching title he had. Like he wants to throw the football,
Yes.
and he didn't last year. If the Eagles aren't a top 5 rushing team like they were last year they were number 1. Like they're not
We're not winning 10
going to
games.
beat out. We're not going to beat out Dallas. If you like, the blueprint should still be, even though you have new toys, is run first. You have a Bob Brinkman. Put it in the comments earlier. The Eagles' offensive line is elite of elite. Studs everywhere.
Run the ball.
So you got to run the football. So I don't think there's enough like
If
opportunity
you
to
run
go
the-
around
if you
for all
run-
these guys to have.
If you
Yeah.
run the football, then they're going to have to put 8 guys in the box to stop the run. And
Like
when they
I'm
put
not
8 guys
drafting
in the
AJ Brown on
football,
my. I'm not drafting AJ Brown or Devontae Smith on any of my fantasy teams. I'm not drafting Dallas Goedert on my fantasy team. I don't trust their quarterback. And for this team to be successful, you have to have a run-first offense like they did last year. And the Eagles are going to have to earn it this year. The Eagles got a lot of breaks last year. You know, playing Simeon and the Giants stunk and the Washington mailed it in at the end. And you just got really lucky with the schedule. as well.
Detroit.
Yeah, like Detroit rolled over for them. They played Detroit week 1. That's going to be a dogfight, by the way. I think Detroit's a lot better. Like that's in no way a guaranteed win. I think they're favored by 4.5.
Really? Is the game in Detroit?
Yeah,
We're going to kill Detroit. Come on.
we'll
I'm
be
gonna-
there.
I'm gonna-
AT
I'm gonna-
radio will be there with the ramp
Yeah.
booth, baby.
I'm going to take
In
the
Detroit.
4.5. I'm going to lay down the points.
I would bet Detroit.
I would lay the lumber. Detroit still stink. Detroit is still Detroit.
I think we win by a touchdown. I think it's going to be
quarterback? Who's their quarterback now?
They've
Jared
Goff.
Goff.
There you go. Do I
He-
need to say more?
He may be the worst quarterback in the league.
He's
Starting quarterback.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
terrible.
I don't know. You look at them; they're getting their offensive line together. They have Swift. They have DJ Chark. They bought in.
Arama
Hawkinson.
St. Brown.
He was on the Rams and it didn't make him good.
Jamison Williams.
They don't have the,
I
listen,
understand he's
look
going
at
to
the
be out
talent-
for some
look at the
games.
talent that he had.
They still don't have. They just still don't have a
The
defense.
talent
though.
he had on the Rams, and he was still terrible.
Well, I hope the Eagles win by 40 points.
I don't know if they'll win by
I
40.
know
but
that
I think they win.
I know that I'm going to be driving my ass out to Detroit to watch them play. So
I could see. I could see like
total egg possibility.
Rob. I could see like 34-10, something like that.
Oh, Rob.
Mouth to God's ears.
They're gonna.
Rob,
they're gonna
if
crap
I
out
end
of
up
the
joining you in Detroit, I actually may go Detroit money line. I've been to the first 3 Phillies games I went to this year. There was a combined 6 hits and no runs. So
What happens?
if I'm in attendance at Ford Field come week 1, everybody in this chat better lay the money line on Detroit.
I don't think it's a bad bet at all. And then you look at their schedule because what the entire East plays the NFC North.
Which
Yeah.
means there are some winnable games there for.
But like I'm a Minnesota guy this year. Like I don't think
But
that's
we
going to
all-
be an easy game this year.
We also play the
Easy game
AFC
at all. That's
South
week 2.
home opener.
That's the home opener on Monday night. Like I think, look, Mike Zimmer was a total buffoon. Like they actually have an offensive coach now, Kevin O'Connell, that can, maybe get the best out of an elite offense, at least on paper. And then who's the AFC? Because they have the Steelers, but they
AFC
don't
South.
play.
AFC South.
Yeah, so that's a break.
Yeah, you got to win at least 3 of those games.
Well,
Sure.
Doug's coming in here and winning.
Well,
See,
between the Colts and the Titans are not going to be easy.
I don't know all about that, but I do think
They
Carson
won't.
Wentz is
They
rolling
won't be
anyway.
easy. But the Texans and Jacksonville both stink. I
Yeah,
mean,
fuck.
I'm looking at the Giants saying, okay, we'll be 2-2 at least against that division. That may be the only 2 games we win all year, but at least we'll have those 2.
The Giants play the Titans in week 1, and I think the Giants can win that game. I'm not in on the Titans at all. They lost both their receivers. Derrick Henry is off an injury. He's had a bunch of carries.
And they're going to stop Derrick Henry, right?
They were talking about,
Oh my God, Reese Hoskins.
well, maybe the Giants won't, but like Tannehill's going to be facing 8-man boxes, and he's going to have to beat teams. And we saw what happened in the playoffs with them. They were the 1 seed and went home.
Yep.
So I'm not afraid of the Titans at all.
None of these. I'm sorry. I know we're done MLB, but none of these guys can ever make a freaking play on this.
I know. Well, Hoskins just dropped it over the
This
railing.
is just absolutely just atrocious.
You're down by 1 in the 7th, and I feel like they have no chance to win this baseball game. And Alvarado's in, so that doesn't help.
I mean, he strikes out a guy on 3 pitches, and then he loses their 9-hole hitter when you're up 1-2 on the count. Loses him and gets him a fucking single, and now you walk Acuna.
Don, yeah, it's gonna be Daniel Jones in New York, and like, is Daniel Jones gonna progress under Brian Dable, or is Daniel Jones just a bust? We're gonna find out this year.
I like me some Brian Dable.
I do like Brian Dable. I don't know if I like Daniel Jones, but I mean, if he does half as good a job as he did with Josh Allen.
Daniel Jones has a skill set. Okay, that's the one thing I will say for him. But his decision making is just not very good.
Fumbles the ball at an astronomical rate.
That's what I'm saying. His decision making is not good. He holds on to the ball too long. When he runs with the ball, he's a terrific runner, but he runs with the ball like a loaf of bread. You know, he seems to make critical mistakes. He seems to make critical mistakes at the wrong time every time, and that's the problem with him.
What's the narrative in New York about the Giants? Like, not
we all think they're going to stink.
Who'd you draft again? You got Thibodeau from Oregon and someone else, right?
Yeah, they got a good offensive lineman, Evan Neal, I think. Is that his name?
Oh, they got him from Bam. I mean,
you guys built in the trenches. That's where you're supposed to go.
Well, they did that. That they did, but you know they got rid of all their good defensive players, of all their veterans, and now they're going to play like young players in the second on the defense. And I don't know. I don't have too much faith in them being any good this year. I'm predicting disaster. I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be any good. I think he's going to end up getting traded and be in another team next year. And then the Giants are going to end up drafting a quarterback. And they'll be starting all over again. But at least they will draft a quarterback that Dable wants and not have to be stuck with Daniel Jones. But I don't
know. I'd be willing. I would have an open mind if I were a Giants fan to Daniel Jones. If Dable does half as good a job as he did with Josh Allen up there in Buffalo, he mold him.
Are you trying to compare Daniel Jones to Josh Allen?
No, I'm not.
I wish.
I didn't say that at all. I said if Josh Allen is just unbelievable. He's a cannon. He can move. He's big and strong. He's the total package.
And he's accurate now. He used to not be. His one problem used to be that he wasn't accurate. But Dable did teach him the footwork. I mean, I'll give him. I give Dable a lot of credit for what he did with Josh Allen. But Josh Allen had a lot of tools. He was just raw when he first came into the NFL. I just don't know if Daniel Jones' problem is his brain. I know he went to Duke and he's a smart guy, but when he gets himself in trouble, he doesn't think. He does really bad. He makes really bad decisions.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he some of his interceptions, he'll be running in the pocket and he'll see a guy and he'll throw it and there'll be somebody right there in front of him, literally. And he does it all the time.
Yeah, Brad. I mean, we saw it with Wentz.
I know you saw. I know. But yeah, we're dealing with it now. So as I said, they really screwed up our team. It's going to take more than one draft for this team to be any semblance of goodness on this team.
if you guys continue to build in the trenches, you guys should be back in a few years. I think
They should have gotten rid of Saquon Barkley and gotten rid of that money.
yeah. Well,
You know,
it's hard to trade a running back contract like that
well,
nowadays. But
I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's wishful thinking, and I listen. I understand what they're doing, but I don't think it's going to work.
I hear you, and we'll be talking about the NFL in the weeks to come. We're what 40 days out of kickoff opening day, so week one. So it should be fun as we continue to merge our two wonderful shows together here on A2D Radio. It was a fun show tonight. Obviously, we'll continue to talk more MLB as the trade deadline is what I don't know the exact August 5th this year, August 1st, August 2nd.
I think it's a Thursday.
So
Yeah.
we're 8 days away. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. It's
Yeah,
it's a Wednesday, I think.
Wednesday. It's midweek.
Yeah, we're about a week away. So a little over a week away. So by next show,
I think you should see some moves being made over the weekend. I think it's going to start. I think Friday it's going to start in earnest.
But before our next show, there will definitely be some moves. Hopefully, the Phillies add a center fielder and pitcher and reliever, and hopefully your Yankees get what you want them to get. But
I would think that they really kind of have to. I think that the Severino injury is a lot worse than what they're saying. I just don't think that they want to say anything because then they'll end up getting ripped off to the royal ends for pitching.
well, yeah, that kills my fantasy baseball odds then. So that sucks.
Yeah, well, it's up to them right now not having him because he was really good this year.
Yep. So Sports Sounds brought to you by Public Araya Public Adjusting. Have damage to your home or property, they may be able to help. Don't fight your homeowner's insurance alone. Contact Araya Public Adjusting at 813-564-3364. They're licensed in 13 states, including Pennsylvania and Florida. So make sure you check them out. Boys, great show. Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer, Evan Taylor, as he just disappeared into the wind. He had some internet issues. He'll be back next week. Jimmy Rodwell, A2D Radio. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Thank you. Go Phillies.